Hello, everybody. Welcome to Manine's Nail Station. Today we are on Module 6. Well done, and congrats to everybody that's got this far. Now it's going to get very interesting because now we're going to get to the real nitty gritty of applying nails, okay, particularly gel nails in this course. So let's have a look at our next slide. Obviously, it is vital to perform a proper um, preparation of the nail because you don't want any dead skin or anything that's sitting on the nail plate that's going to lift the product. If you have lifting of the product, water can seep in underneath together with bacteria, and as you know, in dark, moist areas, so you will end up getting a little greeny or a fungus which you don't want. So the key to being a good nail technician is to make sure that the product is flush all the way around the nail wall, so around the cuticle areas and the two lateral walls. It needs to be flush. The highest point of the nail is down the middle, which creates your apex. The lower is around the cuticle and again on the free edge. So the bulk of the nail sits in the middle of the actual nail enhancement. That's what gives it its strength and durability. All right, so let me show you how we are going to do a proper preparation. Let's get going. Let's just move this across. Okay. Let's see, I want to try and make this bigger. Hold on. There we go. All right. So now, yeah, you can see my fingers. You can see the amount that has grown out. I have put a hard gel on my nails because I'm painting all day and my nails I change all the time because I'm always doing other people's nails and my own nails for training purposes. So they go through the wars. Okay, so with a proper prep, you've always got to start off with hygiene, and it's important to always spray all your implements and make sure that you sterilize all your implements, sterilize your hands and your client's hands. All right, that's before you even start, because remember, the hands are the most dirty things out there. You are touching so many things. Some people wash their hands more than others. You don't know. So you don't want any of that bacteria in your work while you're working. All right. So now what you would do is I'm going to show you with one of my nails. I'm going to, don't know if you can see that, I'm going to push back that cuticle, and you're going to push it back lightly. And if you start seeing any sort of, you can sort of feel if there's any cuticle sticking on the nail plate, and any white that appears, you know that is dead tissue. All right. And we don't want to build our nails on dead tissue. Can you see how we are just removing all that dead tissue? So we're just literally scraping it off. You can use an e-file, but that will be for a master class. So if you are interested in learning how to use an e-file, let me know. All right, so now I'm going to show you the differences with nail files. So you get a 180 by 240 grit file, and you get a 100 by 180 grit. So one side is 100, the other side is 180. All right, so the higher the number, so 240, the finer the grit. The lower the number, the coarser the grit. So on a natural nail, you'll never want to use 100 grit. Okay, 100 grit is more for on top of acrylic or product or anything, but never on the natural nail. So always make sure not to use 100 grit on the natural nail. All right, so now what we're going to do, always again, sterilize your files before using them. All right, I'm going to take my file, and I want you to see my hand. I'm holding the file like this. So I'm balancing that file, almost like you would balance a pen. I'm balancing that file and holding it with my thumb, all right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook that file underneath. Let me see if I can get closer. Okay, let's see. Why is it not focusing? Can you see that? So I'm going to hook it underneath there, and I'm going to make sure that all the product around that cuticle area is flush. All right, we don't want any lifting of everything. And remember the lateral walls. So now I'm doing my own nails, so I'm turning my hand to the side. So you'd be turning your client's hand to the side, and you're going to file down the side wall, and then you're going to turn your finger over like this, and you are going to file down the other side wall. Remember, in design, we had to make sure that the nail is straight from the cuticle bed from either side to side, all right? And that our thinner part is at the cuticle area, and then we've got to look down the barrel. Now, down the barrel is here. All right, if you look down the barrel of all my nails, I don't know if you can see that, that's the barrel and where the C curve is. All right, so now we're going to look down the barrel, and we're going to make sure that the product is evenly distributed along the free edge. So this is in the event that you're doing a fill. If it's a natural nail, you're just going to buff very lightly on the natural nail to remove all the shine. We don't want any shine on the natural nail because gel does not stick to anything, to a shiny surface. All right, so now I just want to check here. I'm making sure that it is all flush all the way around the nail. All right, and I am going to use a lighter file. This is a 280 by 100 grit. All right, and I'm just going to get rid of any oils that are on the nail. Then another thing that I like to do, I have a pumping bottle with a nail brush. I'm going to pump my cleanser, which is alcohol mixed with isopropyl alcohol, and that will then cleanse and sterilize your fingers and remove all the dust. So I would take my brush, never brush the dust into the cuticle area. Always turn the brush around and dust towards you. So you're dusting the all the powder and everything towards you. So you'll never dust towards the client. All right. Let that dry. Then what we are going to do is you are going to, so depending on the manufacturer's instructions, you would either use maybe a nail dehydrator and maybe a primer. Now remember, the minute you use a primer, it's very, very difficult to soak the nail off. All right, so a primer it's like double-sided tape. It makes the product stick to the natural nail, which is what you want in order for the nail to adhere properly without lifting. So if you've got a client that's got very tacky hands, very sweaty palms, you know they're going to have to have a primer. So here I've just used a dehydrator, so it's going to dehydrate the natural nail, changing the pH balance so that the product can adhere to the natural nail properly. So you would then be ready now, so your prep on your nail is ready now for application. Either you're going to do a gel overlay or you are going to be sticking tips on. So very, very important to make sure that you sterilize in between, and that you use your dehydrators. You can use, if a client has lifting on the free edge, you could use your acid primer just along the free edge so that the polish, the gel polish, does not chip. And then I'm just going lightly around the cuticle area onto the natural nail, and this will then have to be cured in a UV lamp according to the manufacturer's instructions. All right, so I'm going to cure that while we continue. Okay, so let's have a look here. So let's go back to our nail prep, proper nail prep. Let's see this slide, and let me show you me again, and we're just going to move me across. Okay, so proper nail prep. So remove any current products on the nail bed. Wipe the nail bed with acetone or with 90% alcohol. Wipe to disinfect the nail plate. Very important. Gently push back the cuticles with an orange stick or a cuticle pusher. Make sure all dead keratin is removed from the nail plate. All right. Remove any shiny oils from the nail plate by gently buffing the nail with a 240 grit. Remember, don't use 100 grit, and some people think that you need to use a very, very strong nail file and make the nail completely chalky white just in order for a product to adhere to it. Not the case. You only, on a natural nail, you only use a 240 grit. And remember, just to recap, the lower the grit number is, the coarser and rougher it is. Never use a coarse file on a natural nail, or any gel products can only be used on acrylic or hard products. All right, so gel is very soft and very flexible, so you don't want to go and use a hard nail file onto something like that. All right, now wipe with, to remove the dust and the oil and dead keratin on the nail plate is one of the major causes of lifting on the nail. Dehydrate the nail with a dehydrator. Prime the nail on the bed for longer and strong adhesion. Recommendation is to only use prime on the free edge of the nail where it is most likely to lift. It is far harder to remove any product or extension with acetone once you've used a primer, as it sticks to the product like glue. So keep in mind, when you want to soak off that nail. Remember, the goal of prep is to prevent the nail enhancement lifting and bacteria, all right, infections. So proper prep is key to having good, healthy enhancements and product on your nails. So we don't want those problems. All right. So, and what we are going to do now is we are going to look at nail tips. There are different types of nail tips on the market, and you will probably find tips that you may prefer to work with. I suggest that as a nail technician to keep an assortment of tips so that you can accommodate all the different types of hands and remember, no two fingers are the same, so each finger is going to be a challenge. Each finger is your challenge to make it look exactly the same as the others and absolutely perfect. All right, there's no shortcut in nails, because if you do a shortcut, you are going to have problems. If you do a shortcut in your prep, the other thing is, if you're going to be pushing back the cuticles and you've got a client with cuticles that grow right up onto the nail plate, and it's very difficult to do that, and you want to use a nail softener, be very careful when you're using a nail softener to remove all the oils that may seep in under the cuticle area. Because if the oils seep in underneath the cuticle area, you are going to find that your product is going to lift because the oil is still on the nail bed. So just make sure you scrub that nail to get rid of all the cuticle softener out of that nail before you apply any nail. Make sure your client dehydrate that nail. Make sure your client washes her hands after you've done that. All right. Now let's look at tips. So I'm going to show you here different types of tips, and I'm going to just make this larger again. Okay, so you can buy tips that have been cut out, and they generally, this is a French tip, so it's sort of the color of a natural nail, and you always have the biggest sizes, and the sizes normally sit on the top of the nail over here. So in this case, this is a 1. Okay, so their biggest size is a 1. Some manufacturers make a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 10. 10 being a pinky, the smallest nail. All right. So when we look at nails like this, how you would size them. All right. So is normally, okay, the easiest part is your thumb. You would always start with the bigger one and see whether that would fit. Now, if you look at this particular tip, so this is a French tip, which is great because you don't have to buff a French tip into the natural nail. So there's less buffing, quicker to apply. Although you could not have a very short nail and apply the tip, it's going to look ridiculous. It has to be a nail that is not so short, that is correctly placed. So always bear that in mind. Aesthetically, you don't want it to look funny by having it low down. So on a nail biter, I would never apply a French tip like this. All right, I would extend the nail bed and then apply your tip. That will do in the advanced training. Okay, so now we would take a tip and we need to look that it fits from side to side. So we turn it from the side, and I'm going to hold it there, and you look on the other side, and this one would fit. So we would be a 1 here. All right. Now the other thing to remember is that, let me show you, you have a well here. So there's a little lip here. So when you apply that nail onto the nail, that little lip is going to stop right there, preventing any glues or anything from running in under the nail, which is a very nice thing to have. There are some, I'll show you other tips that don't do that. All right, so here we would have our French tip, and I will show you how to apply a French tip in a moment. So these are the French tips. You would just apply, sorry, let me just quickly show you something again. So you would, this is a number 4. All right, so you would apply the tip to the stress area like that, a little bit down, because remember it's going to grow out, not lower. All right, because it's going to look funny. So always make sure that the client or the person that you're applying this to has a good sort of nail bed to apply this to. Then you've got a perfect smile line, and you would just need to apply the product on top and shape. All right, so very, very nice and very quick to do. Did I do this in the wrong thing? To apply French tips. All right, then you get other kind of tips, which are, and the tips vary. So here, some companies even mark the number of the tips, never get them mixed up, because then you are going to take too long in doing your client's nails. In this case, we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 being the smallest. If we look at one of these, so now this is completely different again to the other nails, because there is no lip inside. Can you see that? It's totally transparent. All right, again, so that you don't have to blend as much. All right, and I'll show you what I mean by that. But now I want to show you something. If you look at my thumb, the free edge that sticks over the finger, all right, and if I apply a tip onto that long nail, all right, my stress area is amplified. It is not as strong as if the nail was short. So let me show you. We've got a hand here. All right, let's just see here. You can see this has got a beautiful C curve. If we attach that nail to the finger, never ever flatten like that and spread out the nail, because what happens is it's going to pinch and it's going to be sore on the client. So always just hold it very lightly, Make sure that it sits from side to side. All right. Where did I take this one from? So this is a 5 and a 5 is there. All right. So that is another type of C curve. It's square and it has no well. Then we've got a different one here again. Again, it is the color of a natural nail on the free edge. But as you can see, this is a much deeper well. So this would sit sort of halfway on your nail, like that. And this would need to be blended in, all right? What I would suggest with nails like this, it's great because it helps with the apex, all right? However you have to file on the nail, I would coat the natural nail with an overlay with a gel before I would blend this in, but very thin a coating so that you don't buff onto the natural nail. So that is one of the things you can do. Another thing that you can do is you can customize the tip, all right? And how we're going to do that is I'm going to take a slightly harder, coarser grit. I'm going to hold the tip like this, and I'm going to just file it down the middle so that there is a little bit of a C curve. All right, like that. And then I'm going to pre-file on the top of the nail like this. So I'm thinning the ABS plastic, because these are all ABS plastic, all right, so that there's less filing on the natural nail. And then so this would have to be a short nail. It has to be a short nail. You can't put it in the air. So, and then I would apply that, and it would be much easier then to blend that nail into the natural nail, because you're doing half of the work outside of applying that natural onto the natural nail. Then you get different colors again. This is a lighter color. Again, these don't have any well. So these you would just then apply like that. Similar to like the French, you could just leave it as is. If the nail is and it goes down and it looks funny, obviously then you're going to have to blend it in. So aesthetically, you're going to have to determine whether you need to blend that tip in or not. That's why I have a variety of tips that you can use. And the latest thing now is the full cover tips. So let me know if any of you want to do training on the full cover tips. So if you look at the full cover tips, a lot of companies are saying it's made out of gel. Not necessarily, they all are plastic. The products that we put on our nails are plastic. So these would be full cover tips. All right, let me just show you one that would actually fit. So again, they are sized up to 10. So this, you would apply right up to the cuticle area. All right, like that. As you can see, it sits from side to side. All right. Now, if I left my nail long and I stuck this onto a long nail, there would be a big gap underneath here because the natural nail curls. It's curving down. So you'd land up with a gap there. So it's always better to apply it to a short nail, all right? Never to a long nail. You could apply 3/4 of the way so that the cuticle area is flush, and then slightly blend that in and then apply your product on top. That will also help you with an apex and in speed. So you could do that as well. All right. So these are the different types of nail tips that you get. I'm going to show you how to apply your tips to the let me just see which ones we're going to use. Let's just use the French ones. All right. So what I like to do is I like to use a resin, and we're not brand specific at this point in time. And I use an activator. Okay, so the two together makes the product hard. So when you're applying a glue, sometimes the weather could be hot and it takes longer for the product to dry. or it's too cold and it freezes. So I would then use that. So remember, we have to do our proper prep first. So let's go over that. So we are going to be pushing back that cuticle area. Then you are going to lightly buff that finger to remove the shine. All right. We don't want any shiny bits. So you can use the back of the file like this and file with the grain of the nail and not against the grain of the nail, which also helps in not breaking down the nail structure. So you can file on the natural nail with the grain of the nail. All right. We are then going to cleanse and dehydrate, and remember, we're going to go away from the nail. Okay, so while that is dehydrating, we are then going to size our tips for our hands. So let me show you like this. Okay, so if we look at our tips, okay, so we've already got a thumb on here, so we're just going to do these 4. Okay, so let's have a look at this finger. And you can see, obviously, it's not going to be a, let me put this closer. It's not going to be a 0 or a 1 because this is an index finger. Normally, the index and the ring finger are the same size. All right, so let's have a look at, let's see, this one, for argument's sake. This is a number 7, all right? If I hold it on the free edge, let's see, it sits from side to side. Can you see that? Okay, so we are going to apply that down. Oops, we're going to apply that, stick that one down in front of us. And when you're doing a client's hands, you're going to be prepping all the nails, and then you're going to put your nails in front of you like this so that it's quick and easy to do. So if that was a 7, this one should be a size bigger, okay, which then would be either a 6 or a 5. So let's see if I can find, this is a 5. There we go. And that would be then a 5. This was a 7, so this could be a 7 as well. Let's have a look. No, that's too small. What number is that? That's an 8. So where is our 7s? Our 7s should be here. Hold on. And this should be 7. There we go. All right, and then you would go to the pinky. Obviously, that would be the smaller one. Easy to try and size that up. And you have a look, make sure it sits from side to side. All right, so now let me turn this around. Now we have sized all our nails. Let me just quickly roughen up the other nails because it's not going to stick to the shiny part of the nail. So let's just quickly roughen all of these up. And we're going with the grain of the nail, pushing the cuticle back with the end of the file. Make sure to make all the little lifting bits gone, all the shining bits, but it doesn't have to be buffed like crazy, all right? Very light file. I'm going to just get rid of the shine. Get rid of the shine like this. Okay, and then we're just going to sterilize because we don't know what little bacteria things could be in any of that, you know, the buffing. So you just want to make sure that there's nothing in there. So now there's 2 different ways that one can attach the tips to. Some people prefer to just put a little bead in the well and spread it from side to side. Okay, so let me show you like this because a client's hand would be like this. You would take the tip like this and you would find the edge, the little lip, and then you slightly rocket the nail on. Don't over rocket it because then it's going to stick standing up with a gap. So you want to slightly rocket it on, and you'll be able to see. And I don't know, you can't actually see through this. Maybe I'll have to put a see-through one so I can show you. All right, so now it's taking a bit of time to adhere to the nail. But what I'm going to do, my little secret, is I am going to spray it with the activator so that I know that that nail is now attached. Okay, and you can sort of hold down the sides a little bit so that you get that little C curve. Let me show you just with one of the nails. Let's see, if I use a see-through nail. Okay, let's just say for argument's sake. So how you would practice, let's say we've got the see-through nail so that you can see where the actual glue is going, all right? Because you don't want a bubble. Remember, the minute you've got a bubble underneath there, it's going to, our bodies are made up of 80% moisture. So it's the same as if I put a plaster on my skin and I leave it there for a while. What happens? The skin gets all soggy because the excess moisture in my body has made the skin sort of white and soggy because the excess moisture could not evaporate. So the same thing happens. Your nails don't need to breathe because they're made up of keratin. But our bodies is made up of water. So if you've got a bubble in your nail, it becomes moist underneath. And if you've got a little piece of bacteria and you haven't sterilized properly, you've got grounds for a fungus to start. So never ever have a bubble in the nail. Okay, that is the first thing. So you need to practice how you're going to apply your tips. And the best way that I can say to practice is to take a little bit of oil, and let's make a chaff that this is now our glue. All right, so we're going to put our oil on the nail. Let me show you. And then you are going to rocket that on. So can you see how we rocket that on? Can you see how all the bubbles disappeared? So watch again. That would be a bubble. Don't know if you can see that. You need to get rid of that bubble. So you can practice this with oil. All right. Practice it on yourself, and before you even, or on a hand like this, maybe purchase a hand like this. Always would be a good idea, because practice makes perfect. All right, so now let's carry on. So now we are going to stick the next one on. So this would most probably be the middle one. What has happened to my screen? Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Okay, so now the other way that you can apply the tip is if you put a little bead in the center. Always burp your bottle because it will get clogged up. And then you apply the bead, the tip into the well, so up to the ledge, and then you firmly press it down. Making sure, I mean, you can't see it on camera as well as I can, but I can see whether there is a bubble or not. All right, hold it there for a few seconds. Then I'm going to give it a squirt so that it sets the product. You could, if you wanted to, just to make 100% sure, you could just apply a little bit of resin down the back like that as well. All right, and we're going to give it a spray. Let's go on to our next one. Once you get the hang of it, it is quite easy. Never use too much glue. You don't need too much glue. A little bead like that is sufficient enough. All right. Now we are going to hook that underneath that little lip. All right. At a 45-degree angle, and we're going to rocket that on. Let that dry. And we are going to give it a little squirt so that we know it's in place. And we can just make sure that all the little edges are intact. Okay, let's do the pinky now. I've wiped the oil away. So now we are going to put another little bead here. Okay, a little bead, not a big bead. And we are going to apply that, find the lip. Once you've got the lip, rocket it down. So you're almost doing like a rocking motion. Okay, and then we're going to spray that in place. All right, so now I'm going to let that little hand dry and put this away. And let's continue with our slideshow. Okay, let's see. Okay, so choose which nail tip you're going to use, and you can pre-tailor your nails. So always look at the client's hands. If she's got a small nail bed, the advanced training, you would then extend that nail bed before you apply a French tip. Or you would use a see-through tip if she's got very short little nail beds. You could use the see-through ones. Remember, the more filing you got on the nail, the more time it's going to take to do the set of nails. And remember, there's no shortcuts. If you're going to have a bubble or any flaw in the application of the nail, that nail's not going to last. All right, it's like having a house on a weak foundation. It's not going to be a strong nail. All right, so here we can see a plastic tip that conforms to any nail shape. So natural nails, small contact area for quick and easy blending, resistant to solvent adding for long-lasting adhesion, easy to file, does not create a crease or shatter, available in clear, natural or French, ABS plastic tips, easy to blend, deep C curve for high arch nails. So if you've got a person that's got a flat nail, a high arch nail is not going to sit on the nail bed. That's why you need an assortment of nails. So in other words, a tip, let me just show you again. A tip like this, all right, a tip like this has not got a high arch. Can you see down the barrel? This is the barrel. It does not have a high arch in comparison to a tip. Let me just get one of these out so I can show you. To a tip like that. Can you see the difference in the arches? That's why you need an assortment of nail tips, because not everybody's the same. All right? Very, very important. You can't go and put an arch tip on everybody, because some people don't have high arches. Okay? So always keep an assortment of nail tips to accommodate different kind of nail clients. Right, let's go on to our next slide. I hope this is you all with me still. All right, pre-tailoring of tips like I showed you. You choose the correct size from sidewall to sidewall. Remember, guys, you've also got this all in your training manual, so you can always revert back to it. So you can pre-tailor the tips. Let's say you have a tip that doesn't fit the client correctly. So let's give you an example of one. Let's say, let me exaggerate this, and I will show you now. Let's just exaggerate this. So now, if we look at this, let me go bigger again. Hold on. Okay. So now, if we look at this nail tip, let's say for argument's sake, I've run out of tips for this nail. All right. So now I want, mind you, this, it does fit this nail. Let's say I've run out of a tip for this nail, and it's just too big on either side. You can see that's too big on either side. What you would do is you would hold the tip, and you would file it down the sides to make that tip narrow. All right. What you do to the one side, remember, you've got to do to the other side. Okay. Then what you can do is you can file the nail on top before you adhere that nail, so that there's less blending of the tip onto the natural nail. So we're blending it prior to adhering it to the nail. Okay, I just want to get rid of that. Then what you would do is you would then apply that, and you can see it sits from side to side. So that's how you would customize a nail. All right, let's then continue with our slides. Okay, let's just see here. All right, so now let's have a look at the next slide. Let me get me out of the way. Okay, so blending of the tip. Blend the tip enhancements into the natural nail and not onto the natural nail itself, only on the tip. So in other words, when you are applying the tip to the nail, you are only going to blend on the plastic and not on the natural nail as much. You're going to be using a 180 by 240 grit file. Start to blend and refine the nail tips in zone 2. So in zone 2, you would start, can you see the zones? You've got zone 1, 2, and 3. 3 being the cuticle, 1 being the free edge, and 2 is where the apex would go. All right? So you would do that. To blend, we will show you just now how to blend. Okay. Then we are going to look at enhancement solutions for problem nails. All right, so if we look at a flat nail, all right, a flat nail has no apex, so it's completely flat, and sometimes they are concave. All right, let me see if I can move this across. No, I can't. Okay, let me just see here. Let me see if I can just, I don't know if I can, no, that is too big again. Sorry guys, I'm learning a new program here. And okay, it doesn't matter. Let's just do it like this. All right. So there's no apex, and you can quite clearly see here, there's no apex. She's got a bit of a, because it's so short, she's got a bit of a bulbous nail because it's trying to protect the luna, the matrix area, by creating this bulbous nail. So now you've got to try and get the nail over the bulbous nail. So in that, if you've got a very bulbousy nail, and because of this swelling on the sides, you would then have to just cut out on the side walls of your nail. Let me just show you this. Okay, so this is something you would do in the advanced class. So let's not confuse you more, and we will do that in the advanced class. But what you need to do is that you need to know that a flat nail like this is weak. And the best solution for a nail like this is to have an overlay with gel and to place an apex because there's none. This will give the nail an aesthetically better look and will make the nail much stronger. So we need to apply, if you can see, the apex, all right, to that nail. Okay, let's go to the next slide. A fan nail, remember we did it in the diseases and disorders. Okay, a fan nail is like very round and it fans out at the end and it kind of looks wider. If you see there, the cuticle is small and then it fans out. Not an attractive look. You need to make that look attractive. So there again, you are going to give the shape of the nail, not a square, because then it's going to look like a fan or a shovel. So you are going to do maybe an almond or an oval nail on a fanned nail so that it doesn't look wider on the end. You're going to push back those cuticles and try and make that cuticle area as full as possible so that you can work, you've got more area to work in. A fan nail is very unattractive and is not balanced to the narrowness of the cuticle. All right, and it goes wide on the free edge. The solution is to open up the cuticle, as I said, and make this as big as possible down the side walls to get rid of that fanned look. The other solution is to pinch the nail with a pinching tool and cure in the UV lamp so that the free edge blends into the beautiful C curve. So what they mean by that is a pinching tool is something like this. They look like this and this. So it pinches. So if I take the nail, I could pinch it like that. for a few seconds. This would be for an acrylic because it's a much stronger pinching tool. You could not do this with a gel nail because with this pinching tool because it would pinch it too much. So for the gel, you would have something like this. It looks like a tweezer. You would then pinch the nail. Okay, you take it from the bottom and you would pinch it all the way up and quickly cure that. So it cures into that beautiful C curve. All right. Let's continue with other problems that may arise while dealing with all the different kinds of nails. Okay, so let's have a look here. This is different nail plates. All right, and I think we could see from our nail diseases and disorders all the different types of nail plates. So here you can see we have an oval, a natural nail with a little bit of a free edge. This one's a flat nail without an apex. Here is an apex nail. This one is concave, so it fans up. That's from biting. Remember, people bite their nails and then it fans up, so they've got these fanned nails. So you need to really build that apex in there to give it the strength and the aesthetics that it needs in order to look good. Well, girls, I hope you've enjoyed this so far. In the manual, there is a bit of advanced notes with regards to dealing with nail biters as well. Let me know if you want to do an advanced training course with me. I'm happy to oblige. And well done so far for getting to Module 6. I hope to see you in Module 7. Bye for now.